It is very easy for us to work ourselves into death and disability if that is what we so choose. And I know that sounds funny, but having worked in TV, I work with a lot of people who are type A personalities, who are high performers, who are driven, and who will go and go and go and go without a break. And that was one of the interesting things of being a manager is a lot of times I had to slow people down because I could see the road that they were going down. And we have to be very, very wary of that because people can now work 24 hours a day. A lot of how we're hardwired comes from the thousands of years that modern human beings have been on this planet and how we've lived and how our body has adapted to those ways of living. So for thousands of years, this was our lives. I mean, they weren't easy lives, they were very harsh, but they were simple. We go out, we hunt, or we gather berries, we eat, we rest, we make babies, and we take care of it. And I've got basic childcare here because a lot of us forget how basic childcare used to be. 1,000 years ago, childcare was basically keeping your child from being devoured by wolves before it could walk. Once the child could walk, it was either gathering or you were teaching it how to hunt. The other big thing with this is people, obviously, who plan to do things with their family, whether it's taking Jamie to the ball game or whether it's spending time with their wife or their husband, right? And they plan to do this, and they get home after a long day at work and they're so exhausted, either they can't do those things, or when they go out and do them, they're grumpy or tired, they're not really present, they're not spending the quality time they want to spend, because all they figured was, well, as long as I put it in my calendar and do it, that's enough. But we realize that just having it in your calendar isn't enough. Again, when we exercise, when we're working out, we feel really good, that's eustress. And for most people, they need more eustress in their lives. Telling people you need more stress in your life, usually they'll look at you like, are you crazy? But for a lot of people, it's true. And believe me, when I work with people who have chronic health conditions, when a lot of people get sick, especially when they get sick later than I did, because again, I was a kid, what did I know? But when they get sick later in life, they have this idea that they constantly have to conserve. And sometimes they stop pushing themselves, which again is exactly what I did when I was in my early 30s. I said, this is too tough, I give up. I started getting into conservation. And we saw how well that worked, right? Now with distress is more of what we think of when we think of stress, or bad stress. One of the things with distress is, and the reason why it's so insidious, is when we're in distress, we actually secrete certain fight or flight chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. And because most of us now work in jobs where we're being constantly stimulated by electronic screens and email pings and everything else, a lot of people have a lot of this low-level adrenaline trickle or cortisol trickle, and it's not terribly healthy. Driving a car. When you first start driving a car, it's really difficult because there's so many things you got to keep track of, right? Your rear view mirror, your side mirror, what's going on here, looking at your dashboard. And after a while, if you develop good driving habits, it becomes easy. You just go and do it. Wouldn't it be great if everything in life was that easy, right? But in a lot of ways, it can be.